They lied, not just once but deliberately, repeatedly, and with surgical precision. They told us the subpoena wasn't real. They told our lawyers it was fake. They tried to convince us we were being scammed, but the whole time they knew. Blake Lively's legal team knew exactly what they were doing, and it wasn't justice. It was retaliation. Welcome to the most dangerous celebrity censorship scandal happening in real time. And the mainstream media is too scared to touch it. While the headlines are still running fluff about cocktails and product launches, a coordinated legal and PR machine has quietly moved to subpoena the private Google accounts of at least 16 content creators, demanding access to subscriber names, IP addresses, backup emails, Google Pay records, bank card info, and even login histories, simply for covering Blake Lively's public lawsuit. Let that sink in. Creators, journalists, and commentators who dared to speak up are now being legally hunted for their thoughts. And the kicker, when attorneys representing those creators called Blake Lively's legal team for confirmation, they were told flat out that the subpoenas were fake, denied, dismissed, lied to. But hours later, YouTube confirmed the truth. The subpoenas were 100% real. And by the time we found out, it was almost too late. Google sat on them for days. Some creators were given only 5 business days to respond before their entire account history, emails, bank data, location, video uploads would be handed over to Blake Lively's team without objection. This wasn't just shady, it was tactical. A calculated attempt to stall, confuse, and delay until creators were legally defenseless. So what is this really about? It's about power. It's about a celebrity who doesn't like how she's being talked about and is using her platform, her influence, and her lawyers to destroy the people doing the talking. It's about setting a terrifying precedent that your opinion, your research, your criticism can cost you your privacy. And guess what? It's mostly women being targeted. Of the 16 creators known to have received subpoenas, 14 are women. The timing, the silence, the secrecy, all of it points to a disturbing agenda that goes far beyond one lawsuit. This is what happens when Hollywood thinks it owns the internet. When fame becomes a weapon, when free speech becomes a legal liability. And they thought we wouldn't say anything, but we're saying it right now, loudly. This is the full story of how Blake Lively's legal team tried to silence creators and how that plan backfired spectacularly. Because this time they went too far, they lied. They lied to us deliberately, confidently, and with a straight face, pretending the subpoena was fake. And that's not just a mistake, that's a calculated, coordinated effort to deceive content creators, journalists, and the public, and to use that confusion as a weapon. A weapon that would let them quietly get access to our private data, our identities, our locations, even our bank information without resistance. This isn't sloppy lawyering, it's strategy, and if you're not furious yet, keep listening. Let's start at the top. Last Friday was the day everything turned. I had already been following this situation closely, subpoenas going out, creators getting nervous, media swirling with speculation. But when I woke up Friday morning, I never expected to find myself at the center of this storm. Until I got a message from another creator, "Hey, did you get subpoenaed by Google?" At first I said no. Then I checked my email. There it was. A Google legal notice. I opened the attachment, heart pounding, and saw the unthinkable. It was a formal subpoena signed and submitted, demanding that Google hand over all my personal information. My name, address, email accounts, backup phone numbers, IP addresses, Google Pay records, even financial data and AdSense payment logs, all of it. Every inch of my online presence tied to my content, demanded by Blake Lively's legal team. And yet at that same moment, Blake's lawyers were denying it. They were telling attorneys that these subpoenas were fake. They were telling receptionists not to confirm anything. They were creating a smoke screen, telling creators like me, no, this isn't real, while it was already moving forward behind the scenes. It's not just gaslighting, it's strategic disinformation. Why lie? Because if we didn't know the subpoenas were real, we wouldn't respond. And if we didn't respond, we'd miss our legal window to object. And if we missed that deadline, Google, under legal obligation, would simply hand over the data, all of it. This was an ambush. It was set up to catch us off guard, to ensure we had no time to protect ourselves, no time to hire legal counsel, no time to file motions. It was precision, targeted not at our opinions or our platforms, but at our personal lives. They want to see who we are, where we live, who we talk to, what we spend, what we earn, what we say when we're not on camera. And I'm sorry, but that's not due process, that's surveillance. And now that the truth is out, that YouTube itself confirmed these subpoenas are very real, we're seeing the broader implications. This isn't just about me. There are 16 creators who have been targeted by the subpoena, and according to the data we've compiled, 14 of them are women. The 2 exceptions, Andy Sr. and Paris Hilton. That's not coincidence, that's a pattern. And when the pattern fits into a larger campaign of media intimidation, coordinated PR control, and legal retaliation, You start to see what this really is. It's censorship, disguised in legal paperwork, hidden in a fog of confusion, weaponized through the court system. But don't take just my word for it. Let's walk through the chain of events that proves this wasn't a mistake, it was a trap. Let's walk through how this trap was set. On July 3rd, Google received the subpoena from Blake Lively's legal team, but none of the creators who were being targeted were immediately notified. Some only got the notice on July 11th, more than a week later, which raises a critical question: why did Google wait a full 8 days before notifying us that someone was demanding our personal information? Because in that delay, something else was happening. We started hearing rumors that subpoenas were being sent out, but at the same time Blake's legal team, led by Ezra Hudson, was denying it. People were calling the office and the receptionist was giving vague answers, like we don't really know what's going on, or we're just reception, Ezra's still figuring it out. That response, by the way, is not normal. When you call a law firm about a legal document they've allegedly filed, you don't get a vague shrug from the front desk unless they've been explicitly told not to confirm anything. And that's exactly what happened here. The confusion was deliberate. We now know that Ezra Hudson's team was issuing subpoenas while telling creators and attorneys that they weren't. Andy Signer's legal team called them twice. Both times they were told flat-out lies that the subpoenas were fake or hadn't been issued. That misinformation prompted creators to post public updates declaring the subpoenas were a scam, which was exactly what Blake's team wanted. Because while we were scrambling to verify what was happening, the deadline for Google to release our information to them was ticking away. And if no one objected, Google would legally be allowed to release everything. That's when the confirmation came. Andy Sr. reached out to YouTube directly. YouTube responded and said, yes, the subpoena is real. The request is legitimate. The data will be handed over unless the creator files a valid legal objection. That moment changed everything because it exposed the lie. And the timing of that confirmation proved just how manipulative this entire situation really is. They wanted us to waste time, they wanted us confused, they wanted us unprepared. And most of all, they wanted our data without a fight. They wanted to make an example of us. But why go to such extreme lengths to gather private data from creators? Let's dig into that. When I first read the subpoena, I was horrified, not just by what they were asking for, but by what it revealed about their intentions. The subpoena demands all subscriber information associated with my YouTube account. It also demands my full legal name, my registered email addresses, backup email accounts, my phone number, my physical address, IP addresses from registration, and upload sessions, full Google Pay records including payment method and source, credit card and bank account info, if applicable, blockchain wallet data, location info. For every login session since May 1st, 2024, that's not a curiosity request, that's a forensic sweep. They're not just looking for account data, they're trying to map out how we're funded, where we're logging in from, who we may be collaborating with, and what ties, if any, we might have to Justin Baldoni's team. And here's the wildest part: one think they're trying to build a case to suggest that we are somehow colluding with Baldoni, that our reporting, our commentary, our coverage is part of some kind of coordinated smear campaign. The language of the subpoena paired with how many creators received it simultaneously makes it clear Blake Lively's legal team wants to connect the dots between us to build a story that says these YouTubers are working together, maybe even being paid to defame my client. It's not only absurd, it's dangerous because it turns free speech into a legal liability. It weaponizes our reporting. It punishes creators for doing their jobs, covering a lawsuit that Blake Lively herself filed in a very public court involving another celebrity and multiple media outlets. This wasn't private drama. This was a media-covered lawsuit. We're not hackers. We're not private investigators. We're commentators, creators. Some of us are journalists, former reporters, editors, and analysts. And we covered what the world was already talking about. That's not defamation. That's not conspiracy. That's not a smear campaign. That's journalism. So what exactly is Blake Lively so afraid of, if there was ever any doubt that this was about controlling the narrative, not seeking justice? Just look at how Blake Lively's team handled the media from the second this legal firestorm began. They weren't just fighting a case in court, they were engineering a multi-layered PR campaign to frame the story, shift the blame, and hide the truth. Let's start with the People magazine scandal, a perfect example of how corporate media can be manipulated in real time to protect celebrity interests. Last Thursday, I pointed out something that had been bothering me for a while. An article on People.com promoting Blake Lively's beverage brand Betty Buzz On the surface, it looked like a fun piece of celebrity lifestyle content. You can now save on Blake Lively's cocktail mixers on Amazon. Shop her collection now. But here's what made it shady. The article included direct affiliate links to the Betty Buzz product page on Amazon. It had a tiny disclaimer saying people might earn a commission from those links. Buried, of course, in fine print, there was no clear FTC disclosure marking the piece as sponsored content or a paid advertisement. That alone could constitute a violation of Federal Trade Commission guidelines. If you're promoting a product in exchange for compensation, whether that's cash, clicks, or commissions, it must be clearly labeled. That's not optional, it's the law, but it gets even worse. When I tried to revisit the article just days later, it had disappeared, gone, vanished, replaced. If you clicked the link from Google search, it would redirect you to a completely different story, an older article from June 4th titled, "What Betty Buzz Drink Would Serena Vander Woodson Choose? Cute, Harmless, Pre-Approved Fluff." The original article, the one with affiliate links and a price drop promotion, was scrubbed from people's site without explanation. Why? Because people started reporting it. Viewers started calling it out. Some even told me they reported the piece to the FTC, arguing that it was undeclared advertising disguised as editorial content. This is textbook damage control. Rather than own up to it, rather than fix the labeling, Blake Lively's team just deleted the trail and pretended it never happened. But the trail didn't stop there. A viewer of mine sent me something shocking. When they tried to leave a review for a Betty Buzz product on Amazon, they were met with a warning. Due to unusual reviewing activity on this product, we have limited reviews to verified purchases only. That doesn't happen often. Amazon only slaps that kind of restriction on listings when there's a coordinated spike in reviews, usually in response to controversy, complaints, or attempts to manipulate ratings. In this case, viewers had started review bombing Blake Lively's products in protest. Why? Because she was trying to silence creators and people were angry. They took to the one place where celebrities can't hide behind legal teams: Amazon reviews. It didn't take long before her brand's rating began to dip and people noticed. Suddenly, the PR machine kicked in again, removing articles, changing URLs, rerouting traffic, restricting comments. All of it to protect her image and minimize the backlash. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots were saved, links were archived, and people saw through it. What we're witnessing isn't just a lawsuit. It's a coordinated influence operation, a combination of legal intimidation and PR whitewashing designed to destroy dissent and control coverage. Think about the timeline. June 2024, Blake Lively files suit against Justin Baldoni. Early July, YouTubers begin analyzing the case, critically pointing out inconsistencies. July 3rd, her lawyers file secret subpoenas with Google. July 4th to 5th, TMZ breaks the story before recipients are even notified. July 11th, Google finally emails creators. July 12th, Blake's lawyers deny the subpoenas even exist. July 12th later, YouTube confirms they're real. July 13th, PR articles promoting Betty Buzz begin disappearing. This is not chaos, this is calculation. They tried to 1. Delay creators from legally objecting to the subpoenas. 2. Confuse the public about what was really going on. 3. Distract from the scandal with feel-good articles and product promotions. 4. Silence critical creators by intimidating them through legal threats. 5. And worst of all, make the public think we were the bad guys. They tried to make us look like bullies, like clout chasers, like misogynists, like people who were profiting off the pain of a woman, when in reality all we were doing was reporting on a public lawsuit. If you're seeing the pattern here, you're not alone. And if you're furious about it, good, because this is what abuse of power looks like. And here's where it gets even more ironic. Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, was facing legal pressure too. Justin Baldoni filed a lawsuit accusing him of defamation, saying he had publicly smeared Baldoni by calling him a predator on a podcast. But you know what happened? That case got dismissed. Why? Because Ryan Reynolds argued that his comments were protected free speech, that he was allowed to share his opinion publicly, and the court agreed. Yet now Blake Lively's team is trying to say that we don't have that same right, that we as creators shouldn't be allowed to talk about her lawsuit, even though it was published in the New York Times and broadcast by nearly every entertainment outlet on the planet. So what's the difference? Ryan Reynolds is a millionaire celebrity with a legal team, studio connections, and media control. We're creators, we're not rich. We're not famous, but we have voices, and they hate that. They can't control us the way they control the press, so they sue, subpoena, smear. And when that doesn't work, they try to scare us into silence. But here's what Blake Lively and her legal team didn't expect. We're not backing down. In fact, their attempt to silence us has only amplified our voices. It has drawn international attention to their tactics. It has exposed the hypocrisy behind their female empowerment image. It has united creators across platforms, big and small, into a common cause. Creators are now hiring lawyers, organizing legal funds, filing motions to quash the subpoenas, exposing the media manipulation, releasing the full details of what's being demanded, and refusing to stop reporting on the case, because what's happening here isn't just one person's lawsuit. It's a test of whether YouTube creators can be bullied into submission, a test of whether free speech applies only to the rich, a test of whether privacy matters when the person asking for your data wears a designer gown on a red carpet. And I'll say this clearly, we're going to pass that test because we have truth on our side. And more importantly, we have receipts. So where does this all leave us with 16 creators caught in the crosshairs of one of the most aggressive and manipulative celebrity legal tactics we've seen in recent memory? And yet somehow it's Blake Lively's team that's scrambling to maintain control. This was never just about a lawsuit. This was never just about a subpoena. This was a warning shot, a message sent loud and clear to every independent voice online. Stay in line, play nice, or we'll come for you. And that's exactly what they tried to do. They weaponized the legal system. They lied to lawyers. They denied the existence of subpoenas. They waited until the last possible second to notify creators. They tried to confuse us, delay us, and disorient us, all while working in the background to quietly collect our data. But here's the truth they forgot: we're not helpless. We're not isolated. We are connected, not just by platform or algorithm, but by principle. And the principle is this: you don't get to silence people just because they told the truth about you. Creators are not your enemy because they covered a story. Journalists are not your enemy because they asked hard questions. Commentary channels are not your enemy because they don't believe your PR narrative. This is bigger than Blake Lively. This is about precedent. If this tactic works, it will become a template, a blueprint for how celebrities and their lawyers can crush dissent. But if it fails, if we win, it becomes a line in the sand. It becomes a warning to every celebrity team: you don't own the truth. Let me be clear, we are not afraid, and if you think we're going to stop telling the story, now you've only made us louder. We will fight back, in court, on camera, in every video, podcast, post, and article we put out into the world. We will fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone who believes in fair reporting, creator rights, and the power of the free press, even on YouTube. Because the next person who speaks up might not have a lawyer, they might not have a platform. They might be 20 years old and posting from their bedroom. And if we don't fight now, who will be there for them? So this is our line in the sand. Blake Lively wanted to send a message. Well, so are we. You don't get to rewrite the truth. You don't get to erase our voices. And you absolutely don't get to bully us into silence. We're still here, we're still speaking, and we're not going anywhere. I'll tell you what I think. This isn't about protecting privacy, this is about controlling the narrative. Blake Lively is losing control of her image. She's facing backlash from the public.